And welcome on back, everyone, to episode 75 of Streaming with the Mouse. My name is Cliff Robinson, and today we will be talking about The Bad Batch, episode 2, Cut and Run. I did not expect it to be that person, but we'll talk about it in just a minute, so stay tuned, and you're listening or watching Streaming with the Mouse. And welcome on back, everyone, and welcome to episode 75 of Streaming with the Mouse. It's weird to think we're 25 episodes away. We're more than that if you count our Mandalorian arc, but I'm here with the tech to my hunter. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
I don't want
Cam,
to be tech. I want to be.
you said that last week.
Yeah, but then you made a great point that you're like, Wrecker's like a teddy bear, so you could be Wrecker. And now I'm all in on
Okay.
tech. Wrecker,
Okay, the wrecker to my to my hunter. I was gonna go Omega. I mess up the saying now because of how she pronounces it.
Yeah,
But how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Very excited to talk Star Wars. Obviously, it's so good having Star Wars like back because we haven't had it. Like, I know it's only since like what December was when we had
So long.
Mandalorian, but it was nice to have 2 episodes last week. Was a nice way to get back into it. Besides, obviously, like the books and the comics we've gotten from High Republic lately. But no, it was another great episode. I thought they knocked it out of the park. I feel like some people are going to call this filler, which I
Are you
get
saying,
different
or is
views,
it
but
is
I
it
still
Chris? Is it Chris? Did he say it's
maybe
filler?
Chris. Some of the people might call it filler too, but I really enjoyed it and I thought it was a very sweet episode and I learned a lot. And this is a great way to like help keep us introducing to the Batch, even though we had them the 4 episode arc in Clone Wars, and then now these first 2 episodes. But it was really fun. I love this episode.
I wouldn't say it's filler. I haven't seen anyone say it's filler. It's just I wish it wasn't a half hour. I would rather it be 1 hour for 8 weeks than a half hour for 16 weeks.
I'll give you that. Absolutely, I agree with that. I think I've seen a couple people, not many, a couple people call it filter and or filler, excuse me, and I think it's because of like the fact that it's only like that 30 minutes. So like you're not getting a full arc in that episode. Kind of like, I mean, the first episode we got was more or less an arc. You know what I mean? That got us to where we needed
Yeah.
to be, while also being like a cliffhanger and a setup episode too. But no, I thought this was great. Like I said, I didn't see it from many people, but I did see it from a couple of people that thought this was filler. And I don't know if I totally agree with that, but this was great.
Yeah, I was very happy with this. Just wish it was longer. But
Yeah, me too.
that's a good thing because you keep coming back wanting more. We're recording this on Tuesday, so we only have a few days to go until episode 3. But before we jump in, we have some news. 2 articles. You have it, so take it away.
Yeah, these were mostly on tweets, but I did see it reported that Miss Marvel finished or wrapped on filming. It was either yesterday or today. The tweet I saw was today, but it didn't signify if they actually like wrapped yesterday or if it was today on Tuesday, the 11th.
Mhm.
And then the other news is that Ewan McGregor has confirmed that he is filming Obi-Wan Kenobi right now. So that is in production, which is very, very excited. It's in filming. So 2 big properties that we're obviously going to talk about on this podcast. So Cliff, any thoughts on Miss Marvel wrapping? Obviously, that's going to come out later this year, and then Obi-Wan. I think we're expecting 2022. I believe is what we're saying right now.
Yes. So Miss Marvel, I did see that it was wrapping up, and I know that what's happening is Amon is her name, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Amon is going right from the set of Miss Marvel to the
To the
Marvels.
Marvels. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. The suit looks
They did something
excellent.
very similar for Elizabeth Olsen for WandaVision to
Yes,
Doctor Strange, and same thing
that
with the
is
kids, I
true.
guess. Yeah.
Um, suit looks incredible.
Yes.
I think I like the idea of the Marvels. It's
Yeah.
gonna be really cool to see the 3 of them together. Um, I feel like we've known Obi-Wan Kenobi has been filming for a long time. Just no one's ever really confirmed it.
Yeah.
There has been people leaking the set, which, spoiler alert, it's Tatooine.
Oh.
Who would have known? But no, all these things really cool. It's nice to see things starting to open back up, especially in Hollywood, which is great for
Yeah.
all of us. And I'm excited to see. I still think I'm more excited for Ahsoka than Kenobi. It's going to be cool to see this in between of 3 and 4. outside of Rogue One, where we're getting to see what other characters were doing during this time that we know what happens all around, which would be very
Yeah.
cool.
See, I think I'm more excited for the Obi-Wan show than Ahsoka, and that's for two reasons. One is definitely recency bias, where I've just saw Ahsoka live action. I've got her in
That's true.
animated recently too. And I know we got Obi-Wan in animated recently, kind of recently as well with Clone Wars, but he wasn't really in that season 7, to be completely honest and to be fair. So the fact that it's Ewan McGregor coming back, which I know is something that's been teased forever, but it's always been like I said something that was inappropriate, but we just keeps getting teased and we never got it, kind of a thing. Um, so to finally have that and now knowing it's filming, plus I think like in my top 5 Star Wars characters, Obi-Wan just like slightly ekes out Ahsoka, so that might be part of it too. But really, I'm excited for all of it. I really am. The only one I'm like not as excited for because I don't know what the heck's happening is the New Republic RIP Carradine
Oh,
show. What that's called.
Rangers of the Republic.
Rangers of the New Republic. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes.
No, I can see that, and I also would say how. What was I gonna say? Hayden Christensen's first big
That's big.
acting thing,
That's
um,
big.
where Star Wars fans were horrible to him, and it's so nice that he gets to come back and he's gonna be appreciated in a new light, which is excellent.
Let me
I
tell you
always loved
this.
it, so I was never a
What if
hater. I was
what if
too
we
young.
get Anakin? What if we get Anakin, Ben Kenobi, and Ahsoka all live action together? Now that would be a thing, like a little
Ooh,
flashback scene.
so they have cast an actress that could play a young Ahsoka.
Very interesting.
So I'm like,
Very very interesting.
this would be really cool. So there's always that option.
That'd be
Um,
great.
but yeah, I think it is time to jump into it. Only a half hour episode, so a lot less to cover than 76 minutes. So let's jump into it as
Do it.
episode 2, Cut and Run. The Bad Batch visits an old contact. And did you ever expect this to be him?
Even when I saw the name of the episode, I still didn't even expect. I had to like really go deep in my memory bank to be like, who the heck is Cut? Because like I just didn't remember his like arc. And then like as the when I saw the kids, I was like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. I remember this guy now. Okay, got it.
You got to
But
be
it
like,
took me a little bit. If you gave me a million chances, I don't think I would have ever come up with the name Cut.
the craziest thing is I saw people guess him. That's the
Really,
craziest part. And I'm like,
that's
no,
funny.
I'm like, it can't be him. Rex makes sense. But
Which we're definitely gonna get Rex in
we
this
get a
segment.
name drop. But just like Sully, you have to dig deep. So they land on the planet called Salakamai, where this is not the first canon appearance. We've actually seen it in live action in Revenge of the Sith, where during Order 66, Jedi General Stasili is gunned down on the speeder bike. It's when her commander shoots her
Huh.
and it like you see the speeder fly into the stone pillar and it like keeps crashing. That was on Salakamai. Very
I don't
cool.
think I ever put that together that that was the planet she passed away on. Interesting. Okay.
Well, because we've never seen the Jedi before.
Right.
That's the other issue. Um, but we get an even more interesting thing. That's just a fun Star Wars fact for you. But we get an even more interesting thing where we get to see Omega's first ever time setting foot on land. Like
This is
people,
really
actual land, actual dirt and grass, because Camino is a water planet that has been built up off of the ground, out of the water. This is her first time actually like seeing the sun
yeah.
touching
I mean,
Earth, and it was a very nice moment.
yeah. It was really cool. I think this is what's awesome. Is like it's so easy to pass off. And I think we've talked about this in previous episodes when we talked about Clone Wars. It's so easy to pass off an animated show as like you can't have these kind of moments, but like even in an animated show, like that little moment just put the biggest smile on my face. That Omega like it was done so well. It's like Omega is on a planet side for the first time in her life, and she's seeing this dirt, and how happy just dirt makes her is
Hmm.
really cool to see and very touching. And I didn't, I like I said, I think you can pass it off as like, it's not really a great scene, but like then you actually watch it and you're like, oh no, that was like a really cool moment. And I think Hunter's reaction where he gives that little smile is pretty nice too. That adds to that moment.
Well, it's pretty crazy because obviously when Ahsoka was introduced, when they introduced the Clone Wars, she was not liked. she was despised by Star Wars fans, but Omega has become already like a pinnacle. And I don't know if
Yeah,
it's because of Omega herself or because people know what Dave Filoni's character arcs can bring.
sure.
I've liked her from the start. I think she's a fun character. But it's even crazier because when they released all the toys and the Funkos, she had a Target exclusive and it sold
Yeah,
out. And I'm
yeah,
just like, oh
right
wow,
away.
like right away, this is just like boom. So she's
Real
popular so
quickly,
far.
can I stay in the Star Wars universe, but like
Let's do it.
away from the Bad Batch? To all the people that think that Disney is going to not canonize the new trilogy, they're all dumb. Ray's lightsaber sold out in an hour. My dad was there yesterday. My dad happened to be on Batu yesterday when Ray's lightsaber got released. He was there at 10:15. It was already gone from to East in Savi's, not Savi's, Doc Vondar's Dead of Antiquities or whatever it's called. I don't know. I've never been there, but he has. And he doesn't like anything Star Wars. Um, but yeah, that's another thing that sold out very quickly. Ray's awesome yellow lightsaber. Sorry, continue.
I got something that didn't sell out that sold out in within 12 hours. Also, I got the Pirates of the Caribbean skeleton on the gold pile.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
So I
told me
was
that's
happy
pretty
about
cool.
that. That was not Star Wars though. So as the Bad Batch are walking through this farming planet, they're walking through a farm, and Wrecker sees a trap, and he springs the trap, and a bunch of dead B1 droids pop up, and he freaks out and starts shooting at them. And lo and behold, we are introduced, and the Bad Batch is confronted by the Twi'lek Sue and her clone husband Cut, where if people don't realize, is one of the first episodes, uh, season two, I think, when Rex gets shot
Yes.
through the chest. They're the ones that do it. They're the ones that save him, and we find out, and that's when Rex finally starts to learn, like, oh, like there's more to life than just following orders. And we find out that the clones in the Bad Batch have a connection, where, in the words of George Costanza, worlds colliding.
Worlds colliding. No, it was really cool. I think it was such an obscure. I can't believe people are guessing Cut. Like that's crazy to me. It's awesome for them. Like I said, I didn't even remember Cut as like a character until this episode. Like I would have never guessed it. But cool that they were able to tie this together. And I think that's a Dave Filoni special right there for you. If there hasn't been one, it's connecting either like minor-ish Clone Wars characters to these new stories and giving them impact for the new characters. Like without meeting Cut and his family, I don't think the relationship that Omega and the Bad Batch, especially Hunter, that they're creating, is as meaningful as it is, and it's all from this minor Clone War character and Cut. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it does in my head.
Yeah, and it was cool to see him again. I really
Yeah, for
like that
sure.
plot because it's one of the plots where they get really close to capturing Grievous but don't.
Yeah,
Uh, but as we keep going, they are guests at the house, and we are reintroduced to their children. I forget their names. They're Twi'lek human hybrids, but they are not Cut's children. We find out clones are infertile. Clones cannot have children,
right.
but they're his adoptive parents. He's their adoptive father, which
Yeah,
shows you something, a little foreshadowing of what Hunter could be. And the first question is, have you heard from anyone? Have you heard from Rex? And you say you missed him by a day, which is really cool because everyone thinks Rex is dead, but we know exactly where Rex went right after Order 66, which I wonder if Ahsoka was with him also.
right.
Be
And I
cool.
think that's I think that the cool thing here is we're getting so much. I think this is something I've wanted as a Star Wars fan forever. Is like, okay, what's the aftermath of Order 66? And we're getting so much of it, but it's all like so close together, which is cool. So like I think it'd be cool like if somebody smarter and like better artistic than me could make like a timeline of like here's all the things that happen and how close everything was together. Like I would have to guess that Rex coming there had to have been like basically right after Clone Wars season 7 ended.
Hmm.
I would have to assume because I can't imagine this being more than a day between when they escaped then from Order 66 and now, maybe 2-3 days tops. Um, but it's cool to see all these things that are happening, and we're seeing them from all sorts of different points of view, even though they're within a couple days or even hours of each other. I think is pretty interesting that we're getting that.
Yeah, I actually think it's cool, and especially people that follow the books, they release for every big anniversary from a certain point of view, and
Yeah,
that's kind of what this is. This is what's happening from a certain point of view.
yeah,
Um, and with this, we know what happens to Rex. We don't know where he goes next. But something more important, Omega gets to actually meet children that want to play with her right away, and she
Yeah.
doesn't really get it. So they go outside and they throw the ball around, and she ducks and avoids it. And it's like, no, you're supposed to catch it. Like, and she's like, why? Because it's fun. Uh,
It's just so cool seeing her, like, I mean, between the dirt and now this, like, she's learning what it's like to be a little kid instead of just being on, like, this big thing with, like, all these clones kind of thing. It's really, really interesting. It's something so, like, crazy that you don't really think about. Like, yeah, why would Omega know to play with a ball? Because she's never had that opportunity in her life before, or to see dirt or anything like that. It's really interesting because obviously she didn't get that kind of an upbringing in Camino. So
I want to know if she's an altered clone age-wise. I wonder if she'll age very quickly through the season.
that'd be interesting to do, to see if they either like age up the actress's voice or if they change out the actress at all. That'd be interesting to see.
So here's my thing, and we talked about it last week about the fact that Kanan was voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., who was in his mid 40s. The actress, the voice actress of Omega, is 33.
Mm-hmm.
So just going out there with, we have a 33-year-old voicing a 10-year-old.
So they could
Actually,
age her up, or age
so
her
they
up the
could.
voice.
Well, I'm just saying, like, we saw Ahsoka age up, and she kept the same voice for so long,
That's true.
including in Rebels. We just like to complain. Well, I did not complain about Freddie Prince's voice.
It
Someone,
wasn't that I complained.
someone else on here
Listen,
did.
it wasn't the end of the world, but you can't say it didn't take you out of it. The fact that you texted me that first, like, that was nuts. Like, it definitely took you out of it for 2 seconds.
It only took me out of it because it was more just like it was very so
Just
formal
funny.
introductions. But I think it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, that's
we
fine.
wouldn't.
It's fine. It
There
was
was
it
so
was
much.
absolutely fine. I wasn't complaining. It was funny to me that it's like, oh, that's like old man Kanan in a 14-year-old Kanan's body. It was very funny.
There was so much discourse over Ahsoka not being Ashley Eckstein that if Freddie Prinze Jr., if they cast an actual 15-year-old to voice him, there would have been an uproar. So I'm not going to even say anything.
And the
But
good thing with the Bad Batch so far is I haven't seen an uproar about many things. Like, people
no,
really like this. Besides, I know some people have an issue with whitewashing. I honestly haven't looked too far into that, if I'm being completely honest with people. So I've seen that as a complaint with some of like the clones and stuff, and supposedly it might have to do with something of like the lighting or anything like that. So I don't know that for sure. That
no.
I've seen that complaint.
The big complaint was about Saw Gerrera,
Oh, was it? I
and
saw it
when
about
I
him, and I saw it about Kanan, about whitewashing him.
oh yeah,
I didn't catch it on the first watch, and then I saw. I was like, okay, I get that. But other than that, like the rest of the show, I haven't gotten any complaints about it yet, which is
well, I think
crazy.
what actually happened, it was just lighting. Like they like so people don't. Well, I don't want to say people don't get, that's the wrong way. Um, when they make these, they set it up in like a 3D model and then like put cameras in certain, like they have like, so for animation they have like animated cameras to record stuff, which means they have actual, and we watched it in Frozen Into the Unknown.
Right.
They have like lighting sets in these scenes, and I think
Yeah.
they said they had to like tone the lighting down because they adjusted it
Yeah, they're
after.
going to adjust it. It definitely wasn't anything malicious, I don't think. It was just, but it definitely a valid complaint, I guess. But yeah, it
Yeah,
had to do. But that's the only complaint I've seen about the show, which is great because what do I say every time we talk about Star Wars? For the most part, there's nothing Star Wars fans like to do more than complain about Star Wars. So,
yeah.
so far this show's been well received, which has been nice.
um So while the kids are playing, though, Cut and mainly Hunter are discussing Omega and like what are they going to do next. Cut says, "Time to stop being a soldier. If that's what you really want to do, you have to give it up completely." And then his bigger question is, "What's her mutation?" We know she's a clone. What's her thing? And it's really interesting because Hunter does not see her as a soldier. He says she's just a kid. It doesn't matter, but it
Right.
does. It does. It's gonna matter. But it's really interesting to see because he definitely cares about this girl,
Yeah.
but he's afraid that he's going to be a bad father to her, and already starts to hint about Cut and Lou taking Omega when they leave the planet because they need to get off the planet because the Imperials have occupied this planet already. And what
Right.
was your first thought with this, especially going into town when they're like, oh no? only have codes. Like you need to have clearance codes. You need everything. What was your first thoughts with all this?
Yeah, so I've been actually thinking about this a little bit, to be honest with you, and I think it's a big part of it is because I just finished reading Catalyst, which for the
Okay.
majority of that book, it goes from like probably like the middle-ish of the Clone Wars to the end of the Clone Wars to the Republic, or the Empire, excuse me, not the Republic. And it's very interesting to see how quickly the Empire goes to work on everything controlling. So the fact that I was reading that at the same time as watching this, I thought was really interesting because, like I said, Order 66 probably definitely happened. What would you say? Less than a week ago for sure. We don't know the exact timeline, but definitely less than a week ago. And they're already implementing all these things. So the Empire is moving fast. Palpatine's moving very fast to take a controlled fist upon the galaxy. So I thought that was pretty interesting that they already have these systems in place to set this up where they're trying to squeeze people out. I guess was very, very enlightening to me, and I think it was helped by reading Catalyst at the same time.
That's true. And yeah, initially I'm like, oh my, yeah, he's capitalizing quick. We saw this new admiral on the screen. I believe he's the one that we've seen in the Black Series. He's the Black
Yeah,
Series figure, and he's
yeah,
probably going to be the overarching form of admiral villain instead of Tarkin, which is going to be cool. It's good. He has Dave Filoni's very good at creating these Imperials, and high-ranking members in military. But it's so interesting how Palpatine, he had everyone in like the palm of his hand. Everyone was in love with him. He was untouchable, and he controlled everything. And he was going off this form of patriotism to the Republic and now the new Empire. And it's the thing, people were willingly signing themselves up to be in this system.
yeah.
And
It's crazy.
yeah, we won't.
Especially when you put it against the dichotomy of the clones who didn't sign up for this. They were literally created for this, which is, well, not for the Empire,
Exactly.
but for the Republic, which
They
is
were
crazy.
forced to have
It's
numbers.
such a cool, well, not cool. It's such an interesting situation, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, and it's fascism to a T.
Yeah,
We won't jump into politics until they like punch us in the face with it, kind of like what they did with this, but even more.
I am the Senate.
And this is when Cut and Hunter go into town, and Cut wants to buy his way off the planet, but like like they said, the only way to go off is with chain codes. But how can a clone get off world when clones are dictating how this is happening? And Cut wants to leave because he needs to stay as far away as possible to look out for his family. And it's this whole thing, and this is actually the perfect person to have kind of snap Hunter into everything because it's all about family values and what happens to a clone after, which is very, very important.
Yeah, I was interested to see what was going to happen with Cut and especially Sue and the kids because I wasn't sure if like Cut was just going to basically sacrifice himself to like get Sue and the kids off the planet because obviously they could probably get a chain code because they're not clones and whatnot. But the fact that like Cut needed one, I was interested to see how they were going to play this if he was going to like try to get his family off planet and just like whatever, I can't do it kind of a thing. But I'm glad they were. I will spoiler it. I'm glad they were able to get him off planet. But it was a very interesting like again how quickly like all of a sudden everybody needs a chain code. Everybody needs to start trading in their current credits in whatever planet system they're in
Yep.
because now they have to do the imperial credits. Excuse me. We see that happen too in that hologram that so nicely and timely pops up exactly when they need an explanation of chain codes and credits and whatnot, which I thought was funny. But
Yes, that was very interesting as well. And as we get back to the farm, the ball goes past the fence, and the kids are like, "We'll just get it later. Don't worry about it. We're not supposed to leave the fence." But Omega, I guess she's a little defiant as kids find trouble, as Cut
she is a
says.
member of the Bad Batch.
She is a member of the Bad Batch. Exits the fence and ends up face to face with a Nexu. If people don't remember what a Nexu is, Attack of the Clones. It's what scratched Padme's back. And she's eyeing it face to face, and the kids are like, "Omega's in trouble." And Sue and the clones have fended off. Sue has an incredible shot and is able to
Oh
chase it
yeah,
off. And was a really interesting thing where Omega is horrified but safe, and Hunter treats her as a soldier. What are you doing? That could have killed you. Where Cut is like, that's not how you do this. You have to do it like a parent. And he comforts her and it's like it's okay.
picks her up. It's
And I
very
think it's
nice.
really interesting to show the comparison between the two of these guys.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, and it makes sense because like obviously these two guys are cut from the same cloth where they were clones and whatnot. They
Literally.
were literally. Shout out Jango Fett. Um, but like Cut was able to learn this because he's been a father. Whereas, like, obviously, it makes complete sense that Hunter doesn't get this because he's never had to do this in his life before, because he's never had somebody to look out for besides him and his brothers, kind of a thing. But his brothers are old enough to take care of themselves, where he doesn't have to deal with this child who's trying to learn the world at the same time. So it was very cool to see, and it was nice that like Cut kind of snapped at him, I thought, but it wasn't like anything mean. It's just like, hey, like we got to take care of this little girl, kind of thing, and picks her up and is very fatherly like and very nice. And Hunter seems to quickly learn. He gets it, which is very cool.
He gets it, but the Nexu is also a big reason why he starts to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't keep this child. And it's really interesting because all the other clones really don't get it. The other Bad Batch members, it's really not. While they're all members of the same team, this is Hunter and Omega's story. You can
Yeah,
already see it; they've already defined it. Um, but then
which
while
is
this
great
is,
because Star Wars is literally all about family, and this is just the nexus of the family kind of a thing. I don't know why I said nexus of the family, but whatever, it is what it is. Um, but it's literally the nucleus of this new family being created, even though they're not well, I don't know how that
they
works.
are.
Maybe if it's Jango Fett, I don't know. We don't actually know if she's cut from Jango Fett's cloth,
I
but
think she is. I
regardless,
she
so
has the same color eyes. She has the skin complexion. She
you
has
know
the
what I meant, though.
accent. She has everything.
Everybody knows what I meant. They're not blood related. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, air quotes.
Mm,
Um, but like now he's her kin, which is very nice. And
yes.
this is Hunter and Omega's story, which is really cool. As much as I love the other members of the Bad Batch, and it's part of their story too, I like that they're focusing a lot on this relationship. I wonder if in future episodes, if it like other episodes will focus more on other characters, or if the main story is going to be, yeah, the Bad Batch are here, but this is Hunter and Omega becoming a family together.
Yeah, I agree. They're all the fun uncles, and Hunter is the father. But while this is happening, Omega is on the ship. She takes off her Camino tag, her medallion, and I think that symbolizes a lot of things there. I don't think we know exactly what the symbolism is yet, but we're gonna find out. But it's really interesting because her hair starts to get a little bit more messed up, and Elizabeth, she's on the ship while Echo and Tech come up with this brilliant idea to impound the ship and steal these codes and forge them so the family can get off ship. So they,
Yeah, I love this because I just love how outside the box the Bad Batch thinks. Like like this is something that like the only other person I think of that would like think like this is probably like Anakin would think very outside the box like this kind of thing, and it's cool to see that. But like I don't think any other group of clone troopers would be like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get ourselves impounded so that we can sneak in this way. I just don't think they would have like that wherewithal. Like, yeah, we're gonna take this big risk to potentially get in more trouble if we're caught here than in like put ourselves out to being caught than other troopers would. So I love the Bad Batch did that, and it was really funny.
yeah, it was great. And then it's even funnier when Hunter runs out as the ship is getting impounded. He's like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And he's like, "Oh, we came up with this plan." And he's like, "Well, it's a great plan if Omega wasn't on the ship." And it's just like "Oh, hi." It's like Korg, like, "Hi, how you doing?"
I love
Um,
that she's so quiet this whole time, being like, I got away with this one. I'm here. We're gonna be part of this adventure now, because she wasn't really getting to be part of the adventure with Hunter at that point. But no, very funny.
exactly. So they have this plan in place where they're going to steal the codes, forge them, and then let Cut, Lou, and the children get off the planet. Uh, and Hunter says that Omega's going to go with them without telling her. That's the crucial part. So this plan and this heist come in motion as Echo and Tech work together in the landing area. And Echo really easily gets through into the area, steals the codes, and brings them back to Tech. And while he's forging them, has a little bit of a run in with the boot. He cannot get the boot off the ship and gets approached by a clone that's like, "What are you doing here?" And it's really interesting. He says he's like the tech droid, like he says he's like a droid, which was really
Yeah,
weird to me. um Automatically the clone knows something's up, but before he can truly call it in, he calls in something. Tech stuns him and trouble begins.
yeah, and
And yeah,
everything goes to hell at this point, which is really funny. And I like that. It's interesting to see the dynamics between certain members of the Bad Batch. So having Echo and Tech work together, like, is pretty cool, especially where like Echo is kind of like a robot, kind of like a droid with like his mechanical arm and
That's
stuff.
what my brother
That's
was
pretty interesting.
saying, how Echo is their droid.
But like he can be more of a human, like more human minded than like an L3 or K2SO that are going to have like those droid functions where they're going to be very precise and
Well,
correct for the most
people have to
part.
realize that Echo was an ARC trooper, the best of the
Right,
best of the regs. The only
right,
other like legit ARC troopers we know of are Rex and Cody.
right,
Like outside of like they were going to become even better if
right,
they both didn't meet tragic fates.
right.
Echo, I it's always really funny because Echo doesn't see everything the way they see it, so he's always like he's very much like, what the heck is happening? And it's really funny because I'm like, Echo, you dealt with Anakin Skywalker for
Like you
most
got
of
this,
this
buddy. You
war.
got
You
this.
were this is literally like Anakin Skywalker clones.
Right.
Um, so this firefight ensues while Omega is able to sneak behind the line and bring them these access codes, and they have the moment where Hunter's like, okay, we're leaving now, and she's like, okay, where are we going? It's like awkward. Where she's like, no, you're gonna stay here. You're not. It's not fair to you to come with us. And they're able to get through. They're able to get through the line. They make it through the codes. They work. Everything's good. And as they're boarding the ship, and then we'll finish with the firefight. As they're boarding the ship, one of the clones like, you look familiar, and so tense.
Yeah.
But before anything can happen, they need backup because the Bad Batch is causing such a disturbance in the hangar that Cut is able to escape. Thank God. I was so nervous. I thought his Order 66 chip was gonna pop on. Like there were so many things I was worried about this episode.
Yeah. I just thought he was gonna get caught. It's cut. He was gonna get caught. Cut was gonna get caught.
Say that five
As
times
being
fast.
like the deserter kind of thing. But I don't know. I feel like in the Mandalorian, that's exactly what would happen, and then that would lead on to like the next mission. But I'm glad like Cut and Sue and the family are gonna have like that. I mean, for now, happy-ish ending at this point of the story where they're able to get away and move on for this, and they can continue on with their lives, hopefully, while Cut's in hiding as being the deserter clone. But then we still have the fun action fighting scene with the Bad Batch using all their awesome skills.
Yes, so we go back. I know, I was so happy he escaped. I
Yeah,
think maybe Rex took out the chip. Who knows? I think that's what
that's a
someone said. Rex might be on his mission to get the chips out of as many clones as he can. Because as we
yeah.
know from Rebels, oh, what's his name? Who was Plo Koon's? Who was the one with all the gray? Wolf. Wolf executed
Wolf.
Order 66. Yeah, Commander Wolf.
Why did I think Wolf was Kit Fisto's? Is it Plo Koon's?
It's Plo Koon's,
Okay,
but he's not the one that killed Plo Koon. But
right.
but Wolf was nervous when he met Kanan and Ezra. So I think Rex is on a mission to free as many clones as he can. But then we go back and it's like, okay, we're getting ready, and Wrecker's like, "Where's the girl?" It's like, oh, this is awkward again. But then Omega's like, "Hi, I'm here,"
I'm right
um,
here.
and they're like, "Oh crap!" So as she's running through, she almost gets captured by one of the downed clones, and it's really interesting because they started with stun, but as soon as it broke out, they started firefight, which I
I
think
love
is
that
so
color change.
interesting because the clones are so much more stormtrooper now, which adds so much. And it's very sad but very good that we're seeing clones as the villains now, but we
Yeah,
know it's not their fault. But they're able to
that
get
humanizing factor. That's really cool to
yes,
see on display. I think they did the most amazing job with that in the last arc in season 7 of Clone Wars, where they were able to like, oh no, they're like shooting at Ahsoka, but like, oh, that's so sad. And Ahsoka
oh
played it so well,
no,
where she's like, no, it's not their fault. It's not their fault, even though they're shooting at me. And we're getting that more, where it's like the clone troopers are the bad guys. They were cheering for Palpatine at the end of, or in the middle of episode 1, when he's declaring himself as the supreme emperor of the Galactic Empire.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it's so weird because you're like cheering for the Bad Batch to get away from these, what we've always come to as bad guys at this point of the story, but it's not. It's literally that inhibitor chip that's really screwing everything up here.
And it's
It's
so
very,
sad.
and I like that idea of Rex going to like free the other clones. Like I'd watch a show of that, like even if it's like a little like mini series, like
That'd be fun.
catch up with some old clones we haven't seen since the Clone Wars and have them get their inhibitor chip like taken out.
Yeah, and then Hunter saves Omega they get on the ship. Hunter or Wrecker breaks through the boot and they escape while Hunter sees the Star Tours bus fly away as well.
That was great.
And that was
As
a
a big
very
Star Tours
funny.
fan, like I remember in Rebels, I want to say it's season 1 or 2. They have a Star Wars or
Yes,
a
they
Star
do.
Tours ship, and I think they even have like a Rex droid or a droid
Hmm.
that looks like Rex, like piloting it. That's just the absolute best to me because that was my favorite ride at Disney World. It still is until I actually go to Galaxy's Edge, just because it's my Star Wars fixed ride and I get to go fly in space to all these planets. So that's always like whenever I see that ship, I'm like, oh, my heart, like my little Disney World heart is cannon still.
Yes, and it is. But that's how we end. They are able to escape, and we have a very happy ending without setting up where we go next.
Which I like because we also didn't know where they
Yes.
were going to go for this episode too. Which we're going to go see a friend,
But we were
and
left on a cliffhanger.
that's true as well. Yes, but we're still left on a cliffhanger. This one, like, hey, we don't. Yeah,
That's
this
true.
part of the story's over, but where the heck are we going next? It feels very. I know I said this once before. It feels very Mandalorian like. Where like halftime we don't know what's going to happen next with the next adventure from Mandalorian, especially season 1. You know what I mean? So this is really cool, and I'm glad that this chapter is completed. It feels finite, feels
Mhm.
good, and like next week is gonna build more on it, which is I'm assuming is gonna be very
And
exciting.
it's following a Clone Wars arc,
Yes.
which really, it's pretty obvious this is the next season of Clone Wars. They kind of punched us in the face with it in the first episode when it was
Yeah,
the
with
Clone Wars
the
logo and it
trait. Yeah.
melted.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what we have for this week. A very fun episode, not a filler episode, not at all. It taught us a
No.
lot.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts on
Yeah.
this episode?
Yeah. I think one thing Clone Wars does better than any other like animated shows, the action scenes are great, and this
Mm-hmm.
continues on in the Bad Batch. Like it was so exhilarating to watch this firefight basically between um, the troopers and then the Bad Batch. It's just the added awesomeness of the Bad Batch having these extra like superhuman skills that they can have all these specialties. Like Riker just, I'm just gonna rip this boot off. No one else could
Mm-hmm.
do that basically.
No,
Like that was
not at
super
all.
funny that he can use that. And then same thing with Hunter using his tracking skills and Tech using his skills. It's a very fun addition. I think I said this a lot when we talked about WandaVision, especially when we talked about Sam in Captain America or the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The fight scenes are great because they're utilizing Sam's wings so well, and they're
Mm-hmm.
utilizing all these Bad Batch characters' different skills so well to add to the fighting scenes and to add to the drama of everything is really exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I cannot agree more. Um, where I'm just very happy. Like I said, it just keeps leaving me wanting more, which is
For sure.
something that only a few things have like really like forced me to do recently. And honestly, complete props to Disney for going against the Netflix idea where you release everything at once. Where and that's what happened with like the show Shadow and Bone. It was really good, but it only controls you only get 1 day, you get
Right.
1 day of release and that's it. Everyone loves it for 1 day and that's it. Where
It's
this you
literally
you
the best part
linger,
about
you
it.
linger in their hearts, and you leave people wanting more. And that's probably due to the success of Mandalorian, WandaVision, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, where we would not have appreciated them as much if it was we had to binge it in 1 day, which is just so cool. Which it's a way to change TV for the better. It's a way to make streaming better.
And I think a big added part of it too is like when we got Mandalorian season 1, yes, there were other shows coming out. There was High
Mm-hmm.
School Musical, there was all this other stuff, but like that was it. So like that was your fill for that. Like we literally went from WandaVision to Falcon Winter Soldier now to Bad Batch, and I think that's really helping out with like this whole once day thing. This podcast never happens if Disney Plus is using the Netflix model of drop everything on 1 day. It would just never work. It wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
It the funnest part about these shows is yes, the shows are great. They're funny, they're humorous, they're sad, all the above. But it's fun to be able to talk about it with your friends and
Right.
speculate. Even though I don't like to speculate too much because I don't like getting my hopes up and stuff like that. But it is still fun, just like in talking with you and talking with Chris about like, oh, that episode was awesome. I really like this part, and having this podcast to be able to do that. Again, we don't get to do that if they just drop all 16 episodes in 1 day because like I wouldn't even remember half this episode because I'm sure there's something in the finale that's even better than what's happening now. But now it's appreciating it more. Where like when we do get to the finale, I'll be like, oh, do you remember episode 2 when like that creature just like attacked Sue and Cut and
Mm-hmm.
Omega and stuff like that? Like that was really cool. And I remember that because I'm able to process that throughout the week.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's so great about it. And like I said, we wish there was more, but this is how we used to watch Clone Wars.
Right.
So we're
Well,
in the
not
long
me,
run we're
but
used
most
to it.
people.
Oh, yes. But
Cliff, I have a very controversial statement to say.
I am scared.
I love Star Wars.
Ugh,
My God, I love Star Wars so
how
much.
dare you?
I know Star Wars fans aren't supposed to love Star
How
Wars, but
how
my God, I love Star Wars. I
how
love the Bad
dare
Batch. I
you?
love everything that Disney's doing right now. I really do. It's
How
incredible.
how dare you get political on this podcast?
So sorry, everybody. I'm gonna get canceled for that statement
Oh
on Star
oh
Wars Twitter.
God. But I think that is it. We covered this, and it's hard.
Yeah,
It's I know you don't have to. You're not stuck with us for a full hour with half-hour episodes. So
yeah. Go listen to another podcast about this.
go
Honestly,
listen to
though,
old episodes.
I want to give. I know I'm gonna plug another podcast real quick. Force Center Pod. It's a very popular Star Wars podcast that I only just discovered, even though
Hmm.
it's very popular. Force Center Pod. Go listen to them. I would love to get one of those guys on the show. I'd also love to get my mom's basement crew on the show one day. Robbie and Clem from Barstool. Like they're fantastic too, and they're talking about all this nerd stuff. So, but yeah, check out the podcast since this one's a little bit shorter today. But also make sure you rate and review our podcast.
Yes, 100%. I mean, we're definitely getting more listeners, so we're always thankful to finally be in that 100 listeners a week category, which when I was reading through stats pumps you up more. When you're over 100 a week, you're in like the top X amount, like better than when it
Perfect.
used to be 20
Help us out.
20 a
We want
month.
to we want to make this thing huge.
Exactly. To the moon.
To the
But
moon, to the
but
galaxy, to the
Cam,
stars.
where can they find you and where can they find the podcast?
Sure thing. They can find me at CamRamos95 on Twitter. You can find our podcast on Twitter at Stream the Mouse. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Streaming with Mouse. Be sure to rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google. My
There we go.
goodness. Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please make sure you listen, tell your friends, download the episodes, subscribe to everything, all the above. And Cliff, where can they find you?
They can find me at CPRobinson81, and you can now find us on YouTube at Streaming with the Mouse. So you can actually watch us, and that way you can't interact really, but you can still
You can
watch.
see my cool Funko Pops in the background.
There you can see my Force Awakens poster in the background.
Next week, I'll say this. Next week, you can see my Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Legacy lightsaber.
Ooh.
I think is going to be Obi-Wan, but we'll see what my parents actually come home with from their trip.
We shall see. But for Cam Ramos, my name is Clifton Fall Robinson signing off. And to everyone, may the Force be with you.
Have a magical day, everyone.